Let me read a couple things to you. Okay, now, Mark Twain said, never regret, this is a little motivational Monday on my Mike Ferry feed that I get. But what we're really talking about, we're talking about land, but what we're really talking about is mindset. And that's the difference between the agents like Stony Marshall that sells 140 houses a year, okay? And the agent who, smart, probably got 1150 on their SAT, probably graduated with a 3.6 because they turned in all their homework and only sells 5 houses a year. When Stony gets out of bed, he has a purpose and he's going, right? So, like a good for instance, what have you done already today?
I showed a property at 8 for some buyers.
Hey, Samantha.
Went pretty good.
Good. Okay, so you had a showing already. Terrific. See, Stoney's probably been to 4 jobs, walked 2 pieces of land, and made an offer on a lot, right? So we just got to get you to where you're doing the stuff that makes you money, right? Now this was just a fun one. Mark Twain said, never regret anything that made you smile. So that means Jake and Harry want to party with Mark Twain style. You know, you never regret anything that makes you smile. Mark Twain's. Now, okay, some of these coaching kind of people, focus your time on being productive instead of busy. Now that would be one you need to kind of take out of here, because see, most realtors do their very best to stay busy all day so that they can tell people they're busy. Or I was so busy. Oh, what'd you do? Well, I organized all the crap on my desk. Then I got my email just right. Then I did some social media. I made a few posts, did a couple pictures of me on the porch, me in the kitchen, and wow, then it was 2 o'clock and you know, whatever, right? All right. The income producing pieces need to be the first things that you do. And you've got to decide what your income producing pieces are gonna be. Now the cool part about it is you can get one skill, one activity, and one thing and run it in the ground and do 50 deals a year, okay? So you don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to be, you don't even have to try to be good at everything, but you gotta get good at something, right? So my question is, oh, they fixed it. It's so amazing. It's fixed. It has been broken for a while. Okay, thanks Logan. Did you fix that?
I did fix that.
Amazing, so nice. Okay, what are you gonna do? So I asked you to come here for land, and like a lot of old hunters would say, that dog will hunt, right? Well, so the joke about dogs, like hunting dogs, is when it's born, it's already done. It's either gonna hunt or he's not gonna hunt, all right? Well, with realtors, I just don't know. With realtors, I just don't know. But with dogs, they say that dog will hunt. You know, they kind of identify, that one will hunt, that'll hunt, that dog will hunt, right? Well, that's how, hi Beth Ann.
Hello.
That's how you do it with hunting dogs, maybe. I don't know, you work with them, you train them, whatever, but either they kind of got it in them or not. My dog, Willie, is the greatest Labrador on the planet. Not everybody thinks so but me, but Willie's got 800 years of breeding. All I have to do is get him in the general vicinity of the bird and whistle him to sit. Now what I do, I cheat. Like if I shoot a bird that lands where Logan is, and I'm smart enough to see that the wind is blowing this direction, well, I don't send Willie over there. Because it just, you know, maybe he'll get it, maybe he won't. I send Willie over there, and then I make him sit. But when he sits, he's just going like this, looking at me. Well, he can smell like 800 times better or 1,000 times better than a human being or something crazy. He just sits there, and all of a sudden he smells it. I can tell when he smells it. I just make him sit there until he smells it. Or I make him come in a little bit and sit again, and and then he smells it, okay? Once he smells it, and he's got 800 years of breeding, he'll hunt. Once he gets a sniff, boom, I just give him a little over, and he goes get the duck, and my friends go, wow, he's the greatest dog in the world. I'm like, no, he can smell. I mean, it wasn't learned, I didn't teach him that. He could smell that good from the day he was born, right? All right, come on in.
I was making coffee, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. We haven't really got to the good part yet, we're just telling dog stories. Okay, that's how you've gotta be about getting a listing. Now see, most of you went through whatever you did yesterday, and I don't know how it was, or how successful it was, or anything else, but did you track down a listing yesterday? Did you really try to track down a listing? See, the trying part, you know, the I'm gonna get one part, that's something that you gotta get straight up here. Because when you're prioritizing your day, what were your priorities, okay? And see, we've gotta get it to where the only what I would like to do, if I could just, you know, get you straight before you leave, the priority's gotta be, how are you gonna get to make a listing presentation today? How are you gonna pitch getting a listing today? Now, the land and the new construction is kind of twofold, but it is tied together. Now, Jake, I always brag on Jake, that's why he sits in the front row. Jake, when I met him, I said, Jake, I don't hurt your feelings, you don't know anything about houses, and you're really, really young. So, let's get you in a spot where I think it could work for you. You're gonna help me find land. And Jake, if y'all know him, he's pretty eager. He's, oh yeah, let's go find some land. He's ready to go. Well, the thing about land is, who owns all the land? Tell me who you think owns all the land. Russ, you know a lot, you're old.
You know, private individuals.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep digging with Keith.
All the old people with money.
All the old people, right, the old people, right? See, not a lot of 25-year-olds own a lot of land, do they? Do a lot of 50-year-olds? Maybe they're starting to. Most of them inherited it, right? It's a good way to get land, inherit it, right? But most of them are the older people. They got land. I can tell you a bunch of old guys, that Jake's met a bunch of them recently. It's the same old guys that own land all over, and they own it in multiple counties. People that thought owning land was a good thing. Now, if you can think of anybody in your database that knew somebody in the timber business 40 years ago. Because in the timber business 40 or really 80 years ago, 40 to 80 years ago, that once they timbered the land, it took so long to regrow the trees that the guy who cut them typically was dead before they were gonna cut them again. Now here in the last 30 years, they got all this technology with everything, they can regrow pine trees very, very fast. That's why all the regrowth you see is pine trees, pine trees, pine trees, and it's got a system, and they feed them, and they put bug spray on them, and they have a whole program on how to turn them, and they got an 18 to 20 year turn on a lot of pine trees now, right? Well, the old way, they cut all the hardwood, which Virginia was very famous for hardwood, and they'd cut all the hardwood, and then they would let it just grow back naturally. Well, more pine grew back because the pine just does faster, if there is any around there. But when the guy cut the land, the landowner, see back then, you pay taxes on land, like flat out taxes on land. Today, if you have a big piece of land, it goes into land use. Do you guys know what land use means? Okay, so nothing else, you're gonna learn this today. Land use is when some counties, which most around here, okay, do you think it's rigged for the farmer? Some of y'all know a lot of farmers. Our government and our world is rigged for the farmers. I'm gonna get in the farming business so I can cheat too, okay? If you're a farmer, you buy a truck and you say it's farm use, you know how much taxes you pay? You know, it's personal property tax you pay on your truck. Goose egg. Rest of y'all got a bill for your cars, right? Okay. Farm use. If you look into Virginia agricultural stuff, you can kind of write everything off. Like if the family eats on the farm, you can, farm people, farm stuff in our country, America, and all the politicians and the whole thing, the IRS, it's a good game. Well, if you own a piece of land and you pay normal taxes, like if a developer owns a piece of land, he's gonna pay taxes on it the same way an individual would. But a farmer or a property owner that, and see, this is gonna make sense to y'all in a minute, the property owner that owns the land that the farmer now rents from them, okay? They can put it in what you call land use. And land use is a very discounted tax base, okay? So, for instance, and all this is gonna make sense to you, but I had to give it all to you to make it work through. And let's pretend this is my piece of land. And on the open market, it's worth $1 million. $1 million, okay? And in Hanover County, it's about $1. So $1 million times $1,000 a thousand. So divide 1 million by 1,000. And it'll tell you how many times $1. That would be your taxes, right? Well, here's why we're here about the land today. What's happened in our country is the people that own the land are no longer the farmers. And it used to be that farmers owned a lot of land. And now farmers rent more land than they own. It's just gotten weird, right? Now, this is why if you talk to some farmers, some of the farmers do not like me. They don't like my friend Todd Rogers either, okay? Because what happens is, if a guy's got $1 million worth of land, and we said the landowners are usually 70 years old. Guy's 70 years old, he's got $1 million worth of land. Well, a farmer will only give him $100 an acre to rent it. That's pretty close, right? The farmer will pay him $100 an acre to rent the land per year to farm it, okay? Mysteriously, the land use tax, the land use program kind of pushes the tax amount down on the land so that that particular land, and they only do it so the landowner can actually break even, okay? Now the government won't tell you this, the farmers won't tell you this, I'm telling you that's the math of it, okay? So basically the landowner can break even. So if you know somebody that's got 500 acres that they rent to a farmer, they lease to a farmer, you think, wow, the guy's got all that land, he must be so rich. Well, have you ever heard the expression, land rich, cash poor? Okay, all the landowners, that's their favorite thing to say, land rich, tax, cash poor, right? So, if Jeff's a farmer, and I got $1 million worth of land, and he's barely gonna give me enough that I can break it even, and you gotta maintain it, you gotta take care of your property, you gotta whatever you gotta do, I'm breaking even. At some point, it's usually when the 70-year-old really gets to be 80, something happens or whatever, and he's got health problems, and he's gonna then give it to his kids, right? Okay, so you love the land when you got it or when grandpa's got it, but then when the land gets passed over from Jeff to Jake, Jake's going, what's the point in owning all this land if it's just breaking even? I mean, I'm a heart surgeon or I don't know, a bar owner or whatever Jake might be. I'm not making any money off this. And then they bump into somebody like what you guys are gonna be when you leave here. And then you go and you say, oh my goodness, guess what? Your land is really, really good. It's in Hanover County, and it's in an area where we can get 1 lot for every 10 acres. And we could sell a 10-acre lot today in Hanover. A 10-acre lot sells for $150 to $250. $150 to $250. crazy to me. That used to be a mansion back when I got in business, right? So 150 to 250, and then it costs about 40 or 50,000 to put roads and whatever in on a lot. So you can do the math. If it's 150 and it costs about 40 to develop a lot, that's 110. So there's $110,000 left over for the land and the profit. Okay, and if you get a fancy lot in a great location, like out on Studley Road by Enon Church, then you get up to 250 for those. So it still costs about 50. So it's 200,000 to be left between the landowner and the developer. So that's about 20,000 an acre. The other's about 10 or 11,000 an acre. So all of a sudden, the farmer goes, wait a minute, I could get $100 an acre in rent, or you'll give me $10,000 at one time. What's 10,000 divided by 100, people? Somebody do it so you know. $10,000 divided by 100 is what?
1,000.
I think it's 100. Okay? 100. Okay? So, I just inherited the land, right? And this is the part y'all should understand. You can do battle with all the farmers, and this is why the farmers do not like me most of the time. Landowner. This guy is going to give you $100 a year for the next 100 years. And you get to own the land and not make any money off of it. Or you sell me that land and I'll give you 100 years worth of rent today. By the way, you're 56. You ain't gonna live for so long. Do you want 100 years of rent now at 10,000 an acre? And you got 180 acres. That's $1.8 million right now. Or you give it to your kids and your grandkids and y'all keep your sign on it and you'll make no money off of it for the next 100 years. So what do you want to do? See, so the farmers get mad at me because they say, Mike, you're developing all the county. Great, you know, the people that buy the houses from us love us. That's another problem with today's world. The people that buy the new house love the builder and developer for giving them the opportunity to get a new house, right? But what do all the other people say at the Publix grocery store when it's so crowded they can't get a parking spot? They keep building all these houses out here. I don't want anybody else to move to Goochland because Goochland's too crowded already. So then it breaks down into all that. That makes land even more complicated, right? Because you got the people that are already there and they don't want any new guys coming. And the people that live in the city, when you live in the city like Brian does, Brian's getting married, and that's what Brian's doing. Brian starts having children. Well, he might not say, well, you know what? The kids really aren't doing so good in Scott's Addition. It's not going so good for me here. You know? All this asphalt, all this concrete, all the bars, I'm gonna move out to Goochland. He go try to move to Goochland. All the Goochland people go, we don't want you out here, son. Go back to where you come from. Okay? Now, that's the whole landowner, development business, real estate, political thing thrown at you in 20 minutes. So now you guys know what's going on, all right? Now, here's the good part. Residential lots are worth about 100 times what farming per acre is just on average, right? So see, once you educate people, or once they realize the only way they're gonna make any money, unless they're farming it. So if the guy farms it and he's got a bunch of equipment, well, he ain't gonna sell the land because he makes a bunch of money off of it. But if the guy's renting, if the landowner is renting their land, that would be good targets for you. If you know there's a landowner, and see, some of this stuff, he's gonna put that out put it out somewhere and it's gonna get in the wrong hands, and then I'll have like farmers ready to beat me up or something. Or local politicians, oh, you tried to develop Richmond. Well, there's a housing shortage. You guys watch the news? The Wall Street Journal had a mega front page, whole thing, housing crisis in our country. They call it NIMBY, not in my backyard, right? So if you buy a house somewhere and somebody's trying to put some housing across the street, then you're inclined to say, I don't want you in my neighborhood. I don't want anybody here, all right? Remember I told you, only 30% of America is tied into construction. So basically, 7 out of 10 people don't want anything else built in their neighborhood. Y'all see how this is shaping up? Okay, you see why the land is so valuable to the developer and the landowner, because land, you're getting pushback. 70% of the world wants no more grocery stores, no more houses, no more condos, no more townhouses, you know, no more little farms, and no more subdivisions, no more car dealers, no more development, period. In my county, Hanover County, you know what they've turned down multiple times? Movie cinema. And they don't want movie cinemas. You know why? Because what happens at the movies? I guess they think criminals and bad people and the kind of people you don't want show up at movie cinemas. I'm like, this is prehistoric. So every time me and my wife want to watch a movie, I've got to drive. I go to Scott's Edition, which is easy. I go to Scott's Edition to watch a movie. And you know what's funny? When I get to Scott's Edition, the coolest place around Richmond for nightlife and bars and restaurants, whatever, when I go to Scott's Edition and see people I know from Hanover County, you know what they're there doing? They're at the movies, because we don't have a damn movie cinema in all of Hanover County. And they won't let us have one. Because 70% of the people don't want any cars, don't want any traffic, don't want anything. And again, 30% of the people like movies. And I'd like to have a movie cinema that I didn't have to drive to Richmond, you know? Why couldn't I just stay in Mechanicsville and go to a movie? You know what I mean? How about, you know, bowling? There's a big controversy when they put the bowling alley in Mechanicsville. Crazy. Okay, now let's laugh a minute. What, I know, point at her, Goochland. Where do you go when you want to see a movie?
Nowhere.
Goochland don't have one.
We got a drive.
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
That's right.
Drive-through. There you go. That's good.
Do all the
Where you just drive to like.
That's only about an 80-year-old technology. I'm sure that's great. You know what I'm saying? So now the reason I'm framing all this up for you is you got to think this through and then figure out where the opportunity is. Okay? Because you just can't go beating your head on a rock and see. When I talk to y'all about being profitable, and I'm going to say it again to you. Let's see if I can find that again. See, hopefully this is going to get a little more clear for you. And I would encourage everybody here to go to a Brian Buffini seminar, a Tom Ferry training or seminar, or a Mike Ferry, right? And the reason is, very, very few times in your life do you clear the chamber, if you will, and start thinking, how can I be a better me? And in the real estate business, better means, how can I improve my skills? How can I have better focus? How can I change my mindset to be one of those people that get a listing every week? And see, that's the part. How can you change your mindset? Because see, everybody in here, I've met and talked to all of you. You're all smart enough. It's not about smart. Some of the smartest people I know stink as being a realtor, by the way, okay? How do you change your mindset that you're gonna spend your energy first to get a listing appointment, all right? See, that's the challenge. And once you get there, then it gets easy. Once you get there, then you've reprioritized. See, we haven't even talked about how we're gonna turn land into a bunch of money for you yet, okay? We haven't talked about how it turns into new construction, because I gotta get you to this spot where your mindset is you're gonna get a listing appointment for land that you're gonna turn into new construction, okay? See, this isn't your whole business. I want you each to get 12 land contracts that you get paid for, and 12 build jobs that the builder buys the land and builds a little house on it. Because what do we have a shortage of in Richmond, Virginia, whole metro, whole country right now? Affordable houses, okay? Starter homes, affordable houses. Now, you're never gonna get a subdivision of them again. All over our counties, you go to Chesterfield, you go like Deer Run. Anybody ever go to Deer Run? Okay, Deer Run, and it was a lot of small homes. And my gosh, they sold great when they built them, and boy, do they sell good when you list one today. Out in Hanover, High Point Farms, right? Glen Allen's got a bunch of them. You know, Chesterfield's loaded up with them. You know, Goochland used to have them, but now there's no affordable homes. So the only way I know that Hometown Realty is gonna get listings under 400,000. That's the crazy thing. I spent hours yesterday in an airport and on a plane. Where can you find a house for $200,000 anymore? Have you guys looked? Where can you find a $200,000 house? Tell me where one is.
Brunswick King.
You gotta go super east, like
Same.
past the river.
Petersburg.
or
Either
south.
East End or all the way out in West Point somewhere, where there isn't much.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna challenge y'all to do some looking. Cause I said a lot of things, just in New Brunswick, I don't know, you might have it. Middlesex County, I want to think Middlesex County, Richmond County, where Warsaw is. Okay? Gloucester. Those are all the areas I would have thought, well, they'll have some cheap houses, they'll have something affordable. They got nothing. When you go to it on Zillow, you know, it shows you lots. It shows you lots. So my point is, the affordable housing is almost extinct. Like in Goochland, you used to, 20 years ago in Goochland, you could get something kind of affordable that was older. You know, can't today, because somebody's bought it, they've added 1,000 foot to it, they built a 2-car garage, and they put in a swimming pool. So now it's a $700,000 little property, right? The only way to get affordable is for y'all to start finding $30,000 to $90,000 lots. So I want you to focus on $30,000 to $90,000 lots. Now, if you find a $50,000 lot, okay? And I'm gonna tell you a little story. Not 50, let's go 40,000. Jake gets mad at me. My side hustle, everybody's got a side hustle, right? My side hustle is buying cheap pieces of land, shining them up, and making money off of them. That's my hobby. Everybody's got hobbies, right? So I buy land right before I think everybody else is gonna want it, okay? And it's kind of hard to do it on a large scale, but as a realtor, you can do it on a small scale. So about a year ago, I said, Jake, we're gonna find lots in Brickshire. Everybody knows Brickshire is one of the biggest flops and problems in all the world in subdivisions, right? So Brickshire, they were selling lots in Brickshire maybe a year and a half ago for 25,000, 29,000, okay? Cheap, cheap, cheap. But they were all lots that had a lot of topography, okay? Really hilly lots. So I said, Jake, let's only look at the good lots. So this is how you gotta be focused on lots of land, right? So I said, Jake, how'd you like to sell me 2 lots in Brickshire this week? He said, great, sure. I said, okay. All we've gotta do is go through Brickshire and find the level best lots that aren't sold. So he went through Brickshire. See, people think they want to just mail to them. If you mail to somebody and they've got a bad piece of land, they're gonna call you right away. They're gonna suck all your time out of you, and you're never gonna make any money off of them or the land. Because they're gonna want more money than it's worth, and it's a bad piece of land, okay? So when you mail from the office, just mail, the only people that are gonna call you are the shitty ones that you don't wanna talk to. So once I beat that out of Jake, it took me a while to beat that out of him. He took me to some terrible appointments. In the first 6 months he worked at Hometown Realty. I said, would you buy this? No, why are we standing here? Why are we talking to him? Why are we wasting an appointment, right? So now we only target the good ones. So Brickshire, he rode through the neighborhood and we use OnX Hunt. You can use Home Snap. You can use Home Snap or you can use OnX Hunt. But they both are superior to sitting at the table and using tax records and GIS, stuff like that, right? Because see, you want to be able to do it fast. So Jake rode through Brickshire, and when you ride through, see if you do OnX Hunt, it costs like $30 a year, I think, for OnX Hunt. Okay, so like right here, it shows all the properties with a boundary line and a partial tax record. HomeSnap, I believe, gives you a free one too, right? Who uses HomeSnap? HomeSnap gives you free, got a little blue line around HomeSnap ones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so HomeSnap is free. They're gonna market to you a little bit, but HomeSnap's free. So I sent him through Brickshire, and we picked lots that were good and level, where everybody, all the builders, see, these are smart guys. All the builders in Richmond that are buying them, they're all smart guys, right? But they were just going with cheap, okay? So I said, well, maybe put some common sense to it, because once you get a house to a foundation, then it's very, very predictable for the builder. Once the foundation is in, then they know what it's gonna cost them. But from the permit to the foundation, that's all the variables and that's all these guys building houses for free, right? So you buy a crappy lot because it was $29,000 and it's got a bunch of topo like this. So I'll just put a basement in, all right? Well, just putting a basement in, like an empty box, is gonna cost you about $60,000 more than a regular foundation on a nice lot. About 60,000. And then everybody goes, well, but the people get an unfinished basement, okay? Does anybody want an unfinished basement? No, they want a finished basement. So then when you finish it, and then it's like another $70,000. So it's $130,000 for a bunch of square footage that you probably don't need. You know, because see, when you do a basement, and it's $130,000, it's probably a couple thousand foot, like in Brickshire, it'd be, you know, let's say 1,500 feet. You get a 1,500 foot basement. What are you gonna do with a 1,500 foot basement? But if it's empty, it's just a storage area, so there's no value to that much. And if it's finished, it's $130,000. I said, Jake, we're gonna overpay and spend more money buying expensive lots in Brickshire. We're gonna buy all the expensive ones that the builders don't want. And these builders are all smarter than me, but they didn't get it right away. Okay, I just got there faster because I was thinking about it more. They were only thinking cheap and thinking whatever. I said, let's buy the good ones. So we started only looking at the level ones. I said, Jake, if it ain't level, I don't wanna look at it. So he rode and looked, and with his tax record, he could just screenshot, boom, 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 boom. He just went. So then we had a list of all the good lots. So we were paying 45, 50, and 55 when the rest of the market in there was trying to buy them at 29 and 35. So we were buying them. Jake was scratching his head a little bit going, why is Mike buying two of these lots? I ended up bought 3 of them, right? Well, we waited how many months?
6 months maybe? By less than
We
that?
waited 6 months. Now, what did we sell our $50,000 lots for 6 months later?
70, 80,000.
Well, I think we stung Main Street for 85,
We got a 90, I think.
and we got a 90 out of Sherman Homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, so in about 8 months, we went from 50 to 90. Now I had expenses kind of coming and going, so it's not as clean as that. But see, if you can find where the market is before it gets there, that's how the money's made on land, okay? Now, it's very hard to find them as they're going up because it happens so quick. And then 3 months after that, the whole world was overpaying and they were paying 85.90, 85.90. Now they got a ton of lots on the market at 85 and 95 and it's just too high, you know? we were the only good ones on the market. Now it's everybody's on the market because they saw what they were, and now you got a flood of them again, right? So identifying it before it happens is a way, and you could sell to the front end and then sell there. That's one way. Now, the other way is, where can a builder build affordable homes? And this is where we're gonna make some money today. This is where I think everybody in here could list 12 houses, okay? 12 lots and 12 houses. I would search the new construction in the areas that you wanna work. And I'd broaden it out a little bit, because affordable kind of means drive until you can afford. That's what affordable now means. Affordable means families are gonna have to drive further to get something they can afford. Because you just can't. Hanover, Henrico, Chesterfield, Goochland, New Kent. I mean, I'm just, Powhatan, goodness, Powhatan is one of the most, it's gone crazy too, right? So those 6, I don't think there's anything affordable anymore. And then like my friend Stoney Marshall is selling houses in Cumberland, like it's going out of style. And people say, Cumberland? Where is Cumberland? Well, Cumberland is just one more, right? The Gloucester, the western end of Gloucester is kind of in no man's land. The eastern end of Gloucester is kind of right in the hip pocket of Newport News, Yorktown kind of thing, right? But now the not so good or not so saleable part of Gloucester is on fire because they're buying $50,000 lots. If you get a $50,000 lot, there is a chance the poor builder can build a house for $275 or $285. Okay? How fast does a $285 brand new house sell in the Richmond Board of Realtors right now? Overnight, right? Caroline Pines was historically one of the lowest price selling communities for land and houses that I've watched in 40 years. Jake mailed a bunch of letters way back when to Caroline Pines. And the first call came in, I said, what did you do? He said, well, Caroline Pines got all these lots, so they're cheap. I'm like, okay. If you sell a $15,000 lot, how much money do you make? At 6% or 3% or 5% or whatever you got, right? I said, and this is like part number 2 for you. You don't want to just sell the lot. Now, when you talk to the seller, all they want to do is sell the lot, okay? Now this is worth coming, so everybody pay attention, this is the good part. So you find somebody that wants to sell a lot, and they want to sell their lot, and you tell them, hey, I work in Hometown Realty. I'm working with builders and buyers that want lots. You tell them all the stuff you want to tell them about whatever the market's doing. Ma'am, we want to help you get the most money for your lot. Sometimes you're going to want more than builders will pay because builders are pretty smart and they know what they normally pay. So, we'll sell your lot on the open market in MLS, and we'll market your lot through a builder with a house on it through MLS, and MLS will allow you to do that. So I list the lot for $35,000, and the builder plugs in $35,000 and packages the house. So you advertise the house and the lot and just the lot, okay? Now, in a better world, you got builders that like you, listen to you, and understand. The builder would just pay the $35,000 and you get the listing. Now, you got to tell the builder, hey, okay, because you can say, wait a minute, how do you get that to happen so fast, right? Simultaneously, you've got to be talking to all the builders. Remember I told you, find all the builders that build in the area where you like, and you got to call them and say, and Jake calls them, they don't know him from Adam. Hey, I'm Jake Sklar, I work in Hometown Realty. We saw you built this house, and this house. We think we can find lots for you so you can do those same kind of houses again. And we think we can pre-sell them for you. So I need to ask you, if I find you a lot that's a good deal and at the price that you need to pay, will you buy the lot from me, allow me to make a commission for finding the lot, and then list the house and the lot with me and we sell the house on the lot. Now the builder's gonna say, "No, you're double dipping. You're gonna make money on the lot, and then I'm gonna pay you on the lot and the house." Say, "Well, yeah. Otherwise, you ride around and you find them on the weekends." Some of the builders will say, "No, if I pay you a commission, I don't owe you anything." Great, no problem. And you gotta have backbone enough to say, "Hey, that's not a problem. I'll find a builder that will. Good luck to you, sir." Because most of them say, "Mike, I'm not gonna let you double dip." I'm like, "Hey, how about you get your big butt in the car and you ride around and you find lots all day. Enjoy, it's fun." Okay? Or let me do it and make a living doing it, and I'll sell the houses for you. Most of them in today's world, right? What are builders starving for right now?
Lots.
Cheap lots. You can find a lot. You can find all the $200,000 lots you want. Richmond is eaten up with $200,000 lots. You can go to any county, anywhere, and buy $200,000 lots. But people are scared to death to build 800, $1 million, 2 houses, you know? But you find $30,000 to $90,000 lots, the builders will gobble them up, okay? So they gobble them up, they buy the lot, you get the listing, and see, we talk them into building the house. Hey, a lot of people can't wait 6 months. They can't figure it all out, so we've gotta have the houses ready. So then you get them to build the house, then everybody's calling you, then you get more listings, and so you're kind of doing it all at the same time. But, all right, so everybody's cool with it, now you know how we're gonna do it. Okay, for it to be a profit center for you, you've gotta get good at it. And see, what most realtors do is they wanna dabble at everything a little, okay? They wanna, basically, I don't wanna try really hard, I just wanna get some results, right? Well, so then, look at around our office, okay? We have a handful of people that sell a bunch of new construction, right? Once somebody gets good at it, they get an unfair amount of the lots versus the dabbler, right? So you can dabble at it and you can get a few, but you kind of gotta make it your thing and get good at it and get good at a market, and then you're right in there, right? So you gotta get in there and do it. So what I'd like you to do, and this is simple, you need to select 10 properties a day. It doesn't take 5 minutes to do it. Y'all ride in your cars all the time. You go places. You should be previewing property, right? So preview a new home that you like, that's on the market, whether it's listed, sold, or whatever. Preview can be just ride by, see what it is, and then ride up and down the streets and ride around it and ride around there and pull over and look. Ride down the road, pull over and look. Pinpoint, like if you were gonna build a 1,300-foot house in Fluvanna, what lot would you want? So you pick the house you like and see, so I don't want a 1,300-foot house, I want a 2,200-foot house. Guys, play the game. If you're gonna have a 1,300-foot house for you to live on, that was just like the one that Vertical Builders built over here, or like the one Liberty Homes built over there, or whatever builders in your market. That house would go really great, and I would want it on this lot, this lot, this lot, this lot, or this lot. So pick 10. And see, the funny part is, you have no idea how many lots are out there. I mean, New Kent County, you think is a developed county? You ride down the road, it is lot after lot after lot. Goochland, and see, the good part is, when you find somebody, and the people live in Newport News that own the lot, bless you. If they live in Philadelphia, if they live in DC, if they live in Virginia Beach, if they live in Fredericksburg, well, those people aren't real tied to that lot, are they? The chances of somebody moving from Philadelphia to Louisa is slim and none, unless they just bought it and it's within a year. You know, history tells us if they buy and they do it if they buy and they're gonna move here, they're gonna do it in a year. If they buy and they don't move here in a year, they're never gonna do it. But most of them, where did most of them get these lots? These out-of-town people that own these lots, where did they get them?
Inherited it.
They inherited them. And then, here's the thing. So Russ has 3 siblings and they inherited 1 lot. None of them are gonna build on it, or they would have already done it before Mama died. Mama gave it to them. Mama didn't do him any favors. Now you got 4 siblings gonna fight over 1 lot. Gonna fight over what they go sell it for, if they go sell it, all those things. So if I talk to somebody that says, I'm gonna give my lot to my kids. Oh, how many kids do you have? I got 3. And you know what I ask? Do you have 3 lots? Because if you don't have 3 lots, they're just gonna fight over the 1. See, most people don't have that conversation, but I never say that the person doesn't go, yeah, you're probably right. So you know what divides better than 5 acres in Powhatan? 80,000 in cash. That divides better, right? Okay, so see, if you're committed to selecting 10 a day, now here's the numbers of it. And see, everything you guys are doing, when we talk about mindset, it's that mindset numbers. And Jake gets mad at me. What's the one thing I say to you that pisses you off twice a week, Jake? I shouldn't cuss like or say words like it. I'll take it back. What's the thing that bothers you about me that I say to you twice a week, Jake?
Probably gotta get facts straight. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can see the look on your face every time I say, hey, let's put some facts on the table, Squire. See, most people never put the facts on the table. I have a lawyer friend that says, don't let the facts ruin a good story. Most people won't let the facts ruin a good story. Think of all the realtor garbage you've heard from everybody at your offices that's complaining. And I'm gonna tell you, if you are friends with a complainer, isolate them during your work schedule, okay? Or if you sit by or have a bunch of complainers, isolate yourself quickly, because you know what you're getting instead of a couple $100,000 in income? A lot of low-paying stories, right? See, if you're hanging around people that are gonna give you a bunch of stories all day, how much do you make off listening to their stories? Okay, and are they the same stories? Isn't it like a repeat? Weren't you complaining about someone being crazy 6 weeks ago? Weren't you complaining about somebody being crazy 2 months ago? Oh, yeah. Mention it's hard to me one more time. I'm gonna slap the hard right off of your face. Because see, what the same people want to suck all of your time and energy, because the instant gratification of not getting the listing appointment. Okay, I don't have to put the energy in to do what I say I'm gonna do, and if I could just skip my diet for another day and eat another bag of Doritos, I'm gonna be okay, right? So that's what I do. I say, oh, it's so hard, 24/7. Let me have the French fries and the hamburger. It's just easier to do what you want than to do what you know you should do. So all I need you to walk out of here is, in 30 minutes a day, you can get good at selecting 10 lots a day, and then you mail a little letter. And see, some of these young people laugh at me, and Jeff is smarter than me. Jeff said, Mike, why do you mail all those letters? You get their phone number. Jeff, where do you find all the phone numbers?
Tax records, truepeoplesearch.com.
Truepeoplesearch.com. The tax records typically don't have a good number, except for 70-year-olds who leave it there with the county, so maybe, yeah.
Well, you can use the tax records to find their mailing address, and then use the mailing address and their name to find their phone numbers.
Yeah, he's really good at finding phone numbers. I'm telling you, making phone calls is better than mailing letters, okay? I mail the letters because they call me and say, Mama had 3 of your letters in her bill box. Or we had to put my father in a facility, assisted living. My father had to go to assisted living, and he's gonna need money. He's gonna run out of money in 6 months. And he said, call the real estate man. I get a lot of those, cause like 80-year-old people, they call you the real estate man or the real estate lady. They don't call you by your name, yeah? The real estate man. And they say, call the real estate man. You've been sending me letters for years. I saved them. Right? They do. They save them. Right?
Like the insurance man.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right. My dad's 82, and he got the auto mechanic man, and whatever. I don't know. So if you mail or call 10 a day, 5 days a week, here's the magic. If you do 10 and never do it again, it's not gonna work for you. If you do 10 a day, 5 days a week, that's 50. If you're one of those people that can't do a little bit at a time, then just take a half a day and do 50 in a half a day, okay? But 50 times 52 is 2,600, okay? And see, y'all can say, well, this won't work for me, Mike. BS, you won't work for it is the problem. Okay, 12 lot listings. And if you work in the builders, like I tell you, and you're targeting the lots, you already know the builder that'll buy it before you send the letter or make the call, right? If you do it correctly, I'll say Jake, I tell Brian, I tell everybody I talk to a lot, take the rifle off your back and take dead aim, sucker. Because what do most people want to do? They want to broadcast a lot of stories. Take the rifle off your back, take dead aim, pull the trigger, okay? If you do it 10 times a day, that's 2,600. Let me divide 12 by 2,600. What do you think the percentage of success is? 0.004. You only need a rate of return of 0.004. Now I ain't smart enough to figure that out, okay, but that ain't much return at all. Do you think it's possible for you to call people on the phone that own a piece of land that they have not built at a house or have not started a house, and it's just money sitting there? And see, the reason I told y'all about the farmer and the big picture, the financial thing is better for the farmer because at least they could get a farmer to do it. When an individual owns a lot and it's a $70,000 lot, you know what they get? An $800 a year tax bill. It's only 800 bucks. Some of them own a lot that's in a neighborhood like Brickshire, or a neighborhood with a boat ramp or an amenity, or out in Mineral, they may have a boat ramp. They may live 2 miles away, but they may have a little bit of waterfront or something on a lake or whatever it is, right? Or they may have somebody that cuts grass in the neighborhood or has some lights in the neighborhood. So then you have a tax bill and an HOA bill, right? So, so somebody in New Jersey may be sitting on a lot that's costing them $1,200 a year. And then you got 3 siblings that own it. And you know what happens? Just like how y'all work with your siblings, somebody picks up the tab. And it's usually one guy mad as hell because he's been paying it because he cares if the taxes are paid, and his other 2 won't pay the taxes, okay? Jake's found 5 of those in 12 months, and we find those, then the argument is, he has to get me on the phone, because this is what I'm good at. Hey, you know what? Your brother's been paying the taxes for 17 years. He wants to get his money back. Now, if we give him his money back, and then divide it by 3, you're gonna get 17,000 bucks. How about that? Will you take 17,000? Well, my brother shouldn't get more than me. Your brother paid and I'm saying, your brother paid the tax bill for 17 years, unless he's lying to me. Is he lying to me? So you have to kind of get in and help sort the money out, because if you rely on 3 siblings that have been fighting for 15 years over the tax bill, they'll never get it straight. You gotta do it, right? I'm just telling you, 0.004, and you get 12 lots, and you're gonna get paid, okay? We try to get 10% on a lot, okay? Try to get 10% on a lot. They'll beat you down, your manager will let you beat it down to 6%, but try to get the 10%. 10% is good, 6% is okay, but 10% is way better on these low prices, right? So you get a 10% listing. If you've got the builder already lined up, and you find a $50,000 lot on Old Ridge Road in Beaver Dam, popped up on MLS this morning, y'all didn't look at that probably, right? Okay, popped up, set up a search for yourself like you're a client, right? And find the lots, but a $50,000 lot on Old Ridge Road popped up this morning, 10% is $5,000. If I sell it to a builder, I'm gonna get $5,000 gross, okay? and then the builder gives me the listing, he's gonna build a 325 house, okay? And he only pay you 5% on that, and you only get half of it. So 2.5% of 325 is what, 14,000 bucks, maybe 13,000 bucks. So 13 and 5 is 18,000. All right, 18 times 12 is 216,000. Hometown Realty rips you off, and you have to pay 30%. Okay. Well, that's what people say, right? Oh, my broker, they ripped me off. They charged me $30,000, and I drank 700 coffees. You make 186. Now see, if you make 18,000 a year in commission, you think your broker's ripping you off, right? If you make 226,000, and then you pay the broker, wow, or 216, wow, guess what? I made 186,000. See what I'm saying? So the more you make, the happier you're gonna be about everything in your life, not just with me, not just with hometown. The more effort you put in and the more money you make, everything gets smilier, right? Then it's easier to ditch those people in your life that are always whining and being negative. Now, I hate to say that, because you can't, if you get 7,000 realtors in Richmond, right? You can't throw a dead cat without hitting some realtor with a bad story to tell you. Okay? Now, I just said this real quick. Think about all your friends. All of your friends. If you say, hey, how are you? How many people say, great, isn't it wonderful to be alive on Tuesday? None of them. What do they say? Oh, well,
Tired.
some of them say living the dream.
But it's sarcasm.
But what do most of them say?
You're like, I'm tired.
They're miserable, they're tired, their spouse, their boyfriend, the girlfriend, the kid, the dog, the waitress, the waiter, the rip-off at Publix, I hate my doctor, you know, whatever. You know, so you gotta stop asking people, maybe make a note. Don't ask them how they're doing. Say, have a blessed day. Have a great day. Hey, love you, man. Get the heck away from them. Because what you're trading is 180. See, I just asked you for 30 minutes a day. I didn't ask you to kill yourself. I didn't say work 60 hours a week. And see, that's why I'm no good at dieting, but I'm good at real estate. I cannot stick to anything 24/7. Can't be done. Can't be done. Can't do it. I can't do 24/7. It's just not my thing. I can't do it. And I also can't do the little bit a day, like the Buffini style, just a little bit a day. So I binge it. I will take 4 hours and I will go find a whole pack of properties. And then I start with a big group. But see, kind of once you get in doing it, you get better. Once you start finding them, right? Well, so you do it however you want to do it, but 10 a day is a 30-minute doable thing. And then you put them in a database so you don't do it again, right? You see, these people, if they don't sell the lot now, the second time you contact them, probably better chance. The third time you contact them, probably better chance. So I tell Jake, we don't need to talk to a lot of people. We need to talk to the right people over and over again, because see, you gotta wear them down. They've been holding on to it since they inherited it, and there's some sentimental value because their mother or their father gave it to them. But if they're not gonna go there, and you keep contacting them about it, and maybe just get them an offer. You know? If they won't list it, what would you take if you were to sell it? I know you don't want to put it on the market, Samantha, but what would you take if you were going to sell it? Well, I don't know. Would you talk to your siblings and see what would you take if you were going to sell it? Let me see if I can net you that much. Because a perfect deal for me is, y'all come up with how much you want for the land, I'll add a commission to it, and maybe I can write you a contract for that. Maybe I can get a builder to pay that. Then you have a choice, right? So I'm asking you, will you let me put a sign on it and market it? You don't want to do that. How about I just bring you a deal, right? People will do it. And see, if you put this kind of quality stuff in your day, instead of some of the stuff you did yesterday or the day before, then you can start making money. But see, I think you'd be hard pressed to do 10 a day, call them or send a letter, build a database, because then it gets easier and easier and easier because you got them, right? I think you can make more than the 186 if you did 10 a day. It could be your whole business. So how about there's 17 counties within an hour of here. How about if you did it 5 hours a day, 5 days a week? Huh?
And it's not like it doesn't work, cause I know builders that pay people to do this.
Well, all the big builders, you know what the big builders do? They bypassed us. They put people on salary that do nothing but find lots of land. But they try to get 30 acres, they try to get 80 acres, they try to get 10 acres, they try to get 300 acres, right? And see, the only reason I didn't tell you all to sickle on that, like the big farmers or big forestry land, is most of you need some checks now. You need some checks this year, right? Well, if you need checks this year, individual lots already ready to go are a fast way. You can get right in. Like a subdivision, Todd and I are trying to zone 5 pieces of land, and the not in my backyard people and my weak supervisors in Hanover. There's 3 of them that are pretty solid people. 4 of them are just weak as kittens, and they're gonna roll over. They're just gonna roll over, and they say, oh, it's 35 people mad here because they don't want any traffic. This is what they turned us down for on Route 54, 3/4 of a mile from Interstate 95. The neighbors don't want any traffic on Route 54. I'm like, 54 is a major artery identified by the state of Virginia to connect to Interstate 95, the biggest damn highway this side of the Mississippi. Where's the traffic supposed to go, you jackwagons? I mean, that's the kind of argument that's out there. We don't want any traffic on the biggest road we got 1 mile from the interstate, okay? And that's what's happening to real estate, not just development. Because see, right now there's no houses. Y'all do search. There's no houses. Because if they're not replacing housing for people to buy, then nobody's going anywhere. It's just kind of everybody sitting there. So we got a backlog of young people throughout Richmond Metro, and we have a backlog of seniors throughout Richmond Metro that have no affordable options. Because the only thing you can find is what? What did I tell you? You can find plenty of $200,000 lots and $800,000 houses. How many people can afford $200,000 lots and $800,000 houses? A certain number, but it's a small percentage of Richmond. So 10%, 15% of Richmond is getting their housing needs met, because there's lots of $800,000 housing and up, okay? If you want a $400,000, or God forbid, a $200,000 house, you just out of luck. So what we gotta do is find affordable options. Now, what I gave you to do was the workaround. People don't wanna live in Disputana. That's not their first choice. Hey, I'll take Disputana. I'll drive 45 minutes. The lady that took my blood at my doctor's appointment this morning, I went in, had to do some blood work this morning. I got there at 8, I say, where are you from? Where are you from? She said, I live on the Powhatan line. I said, over the Powhatan Chesterfield line? She goes, oh, no. The Powhatan Cumberland line. I didn't know Powhatan even went to Cumberland. Does it go to Cumberland? Anybody know?
Cumberland's on the other side of the
Yeah, she said the Powhatan Cumberland line. I'm like, I don't even know where that is. How long did it take you to get here? Well, I leave early to beat the traffic. So what time do you get here? She goes, I get here at 7. What time is the doctor's office open? 8. If I try to get here at 8, it takes me an extra 30 minutes to get here. I'm like, oh my gosh. See what I'm saying? So people will drive, and they'll drive to all these lots. Y'all gotta get out of your paths and find some lots, right? And see, in Goochland, a $90,000 lot is a cheap one, okay? If you go to Middlesex, a $30,000 lot is a cheap one. Did we get that $28,000 lot signed yet? Okay, good. Okay. We got a $28,000 lot. It's 2 acres of pine trees. It's level, it's beautiful, and it's only 10 minutes off 360, but it is all the way down by Have a Nice Day Cafe. No, not Have a Nice Day. Almost There Cafe.
Still work, haven't got that one signed yet, still working on that one.
We gotta get this out, you
Yeah.
gotta drive down there and do that.
Yeah.
Alright, so you see what I'm saying? We're gonna buy a $28,000 lot, and the last thing I'll leave you with, if you wanna, like, make you some money, and you got a little bit of money, I bought a $40,000 lot off a guy who knows the lot business in Caroline, and I think I bought that lot how long ago? The 4-acre lot.
And King and Queen?
Mhm.
I think you bought it maybe 6 months ago.
6 months ago. Alright, Jake got mad at me because we bought it for 40, but it's flat. It's got good road frontage. It's got beautiful big pieces of land all around it, right? I put it on the market for 75,000. Jake's like, I got somebody to give you 50. I got somebody to give you 60. I got somebody to give you 57. I said, Jake, you bring me one more crappy offer and I'm gonna put my own sign on it. 75,000. And the one guy kept making lowball offers. I changed it in MLS to 76,000 just to make him mad. It's conventional drain fields. And once you learn something, right? The difference between an alternative septic and a conventional septic might be $24,000. Okay? This is conventional, perfect septic. You put 5 bedrooms in a little bitty septic, it's sand. So it had good septic, right? It's perfectly level. We just talked about the difference between basement and whatever. So it's somewhere between 0 and 60,000 for an unfinished basement to a level lot. I said, it's easily worth 75,000 because the guy's not gonna waste any money in foundation and he's not gonna waste any money in septic. So it's easily a $75,000 lot. Because there's other lots out there, but they're like 55,000, but alternative septic. So 55 plus 20 is 75. Okay? Or, hey, it's got just a little bit of slope. Oh yeah, pull a tape on it. Over 60 feet, how much fall is it? 5 foot of fall. That's half a basement. So you only pay 30,000 more for half of it's not really a basement, it's just a big foundation. So for an ugly foundation that gives you 17 steps off of your back porch, it costs 30,000. So if you find good level lots, you can sell, you can buy them and sell them for a lot more, or sell them a lot faster. Like if I could find these lots at 40,000, I could sell houses on $40,000 lots that are level with no drain field problems. You can sell them like this, okay? But see, for me, I'd rather hold them, and I plan on holding them 3 years because I buy them in a equity account. You all guys know about SEP accounts? Okay. I need to do SEP accounts because finding investors that have SEP accounts, or what's the other name for it? IRA. IRAs or SEPs that have any money in them, they can buy and sell real estate within their SEP account. You might not know that. So we're gonna talk about that another day, all right? I've given you way too much. I want you to start finding it. If you find that you are chicken, but you'll do the legwork, then we'll set you up with somebody that will get the appointments with you and you get half of it. Because some people will do the legwork and some people will do the face-to-face part, right? So find out which part you like, and if you just hate or won't do part of it, we'll match you up with somebody that will, and let's team up and let's make better teams, make better partnerships, because some people like to do the legwork and some people just like to close the deals, right? So, or whatever, but just figure out ways to do it. But if you do 10 a day, 50 a week, 2,600 a year, it's a $200,000 income and probably be more. Because once you get good at it, you're not gonna be 0.004, right? Once you get good at it, you might be 0.006. That's 18 listings a year, okay? Mathematically, that's 18 listings. Or how about if you get to 0.01? That's 25 listings. How about 0.02? 50 listings. You know how good Stoney is? He's just 0.003. Stoney's 0.00, no, he's 0.003. Huh? Yeah, Stoney made $1 million. He's 0.003. That's how many people he contacts to do 85 listings, right? So you don't have to contact anymore, you just get better at it. But see, most people won't do the 10 a day.